Before that ad came out, there's a story here in the Washington Times by Kelly Riddell, and the headline, Democrats unsure Hillary Clinton can beat Donald Trump in general election. Now, this is a first. Before the Christmas break, the conventional wisdom was that Hillary would trounce Trump. In fact, that was the primary reason Republicans should not nominate Trump, is that Hillary would just cream him. It would be the end of the Republican Party. Trump would be the absolute worst person of all running on the Republican side to win the nomination, because Hillary would just mop up. Now, the Republicans have for many months been trying to figure out how to beat Trump, and they can't. They've been pulling their hair out. The donors have been going nuts. Everybody on the Republican side has been waiting for this mythical Trump implosion to take place, which hasn't happened. All this while, the Democrats were saying, bring it on, because Hillary is just going to wipe the floor with Trump. Now, all of a sudden, the Democrats are starting to get concerned. They may not be able to beat Trump either. Democrat Party activists are conflicted over whether Hillary Clinton can take on Donald Trump in the general and win, some of them fearing that she provides too much ammunition for Trump's style of attack. What would that ammunition be? How does Hillary provide too much ammunition for Trump? I'll give you an answer. Bill Clinton. Hillary Clinton, on one hand, wants to use the fact that she's a woman, and that means that she's a victim. She's been mistreated. She has been maligned. She's been discriminated against, as all women have, because the Republicans have a war on women that they've been waging here for 4 or 5 years. And Mrs. Clinton is a poor, defenseless damsel in distress, and she's doing everything. And over here, she's going to talk about Bill Clinton is going to be a surrogate on the campaign trail for her. He is one of the, he's a predator. He's not a womanizer. He's a predator. He's a sexual predator. And Trump has called all this out, and Trump has warned Hillary, you bring him out, and I can't promise you that you're not going to be attacked, and he's not going to be attacked, because it's the only natural thing to do. And F. Chuck Todd of NBC News is very, very worried about this. Now, F. Chuck Todd says that Trump attacking the Clintons is only to show Republican voters that Trump isn't in cahoots with them. Because there are some out there that think that the Trumps and the Clintons are actually secret buddies, and that Trump is actually running only to elect Clinton. And so that Trump has to go out there and attack Bill and Hillary to make it look like that alliance doesn't happen, doesn't exist. That's F. Chuck Todd theory, because he can't believe that Trump would actually go after Bill Clinton this way, because they don't think that Clinton's a sexual predator. Trump had to correct, what's her name, Savannah Guthrie on the Today Show? Savannah Guthrie on the Today Show actually tried to say that Clinton had had an alleged affair with Monica Lewinsky. And it's not that she's ignorant and stupid and is forgotten. It's because she knows that there's a bunch of millennials out there who weren't alive or old enough to pay attention back when the Lewinsky thing happened. So they're trying to make sure that that group of people doesn't learn what really happened. They're trying to shape the public opinion of young people. Yeah, it was alleged that something happened. Just a Republican trick. It was nothing more than an attempt to impeach Clinton. And Trump called her on it. All that and more, plus your phone calls are coming up. Don't go away. Yeah, TheHill.com also in on this act. They've got a story they call the Clinton's sexual liaisons alleged sexual allegations. And it's all aimed at millennials who were not alive or paying attention back in the mid-'90s to try to shape what they think. Let me grab a quick phone call here. Joe in Seattle, you're up first. It's great to have you on the program, sir. Hello.
Hey, thank you very much, Rush. Hey, this video actually undermines Hillary and Obama because if you'll notice, the Islamist who precedes Donald Trump is Anwar al-Awlaki.
Right.
And this guy died back when Hillary was Secretary of State. So what it shows is that the failed foreign policy of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton is still alive today. We haven't gotten past it.
Yeah, this a lucky guy. He was responsible for influencing the Fort Hood shooter and so forth. He was an American. He was killed by a drone. He was killed after being targeted by Obama, and he's out recruiting. And of course, his death. Yeah, you're talking about his death being used as a recruitment tool as well. But look, again, let's not lose sight of what the purpose of Hillary's comments and trying to blame Trump for all this. The purpose that Hillary and Obama are attempting to achieve, the objective they're trying to achieve here, is to blame Republicans for the fact that there is terrorism. You have a religion of peace over here. Peaceful people. They just want to live in peace like everybody else. And then Trump starts mouthing off about them, and they get so mad they become terrorists. Before that, it was George W. Bush. After 9/11, these were the same people. What did we do to make them so mad? They know full well the ideology of this group, and they are gutless and afraid to even go there. So inside the Clinton campaign, they are now really worried. They've decided, and in fact, they're using Clinton. He made his first campaign appearance for her in New Hampshire today. And he made a 1-hour speech. At least it seemed like he was up there that long. And he was rambling. And I watched a little bit of it. I checked in with the audio here and there. You know, a couple minutes here, turn it off, come back, listen to a couple more minutes. I had no idea what this guy was talking about. He just rambling on and on. He's talking about when Hillary and I were in college and so forth. And a lot of people think, why did you marry her? And she said, a lot of people asking her, why did you marry him? And we're thinking, well, all the good things. It's just rambling nothingness. And I'm wondering, could this be? I mean, they want to send Clinton out to help Hillary play the gender card. And Trump has called them on this and said, you're not going to get away with it. I mean, Donald Trump may be a one-man wrecking ball on the entire concept of this war on women business. Might be the one guy willing with any guts to attack it head on. Here is Trump speaking about this. This is Fox and Friends Weekend yesterday, Sunday morning, Tucker Carlson. Says Hillary Clinton's response has been that you're a sexist and that her supporters have been saying you're a sexist, to which you've said, wait, she's married to Bill Clinton. Now, you're the only person who said that. You're the only guy, Trump, that goes after Clinton as a predator. You're the only guy that goes after Clinton for what he is. Do you think she's going to keep going after you if you do this?
She's got a problem. She's married to a person that's a serious abuser, and I mean at the highest level. And she, she's not an innocent victim. She was the one that would go along with him in this whole game that they play. And you look at what happened with some of the people that he took advantage of, and then she gets involved. So she's not like the innocent person sitting by the side and, with tears in her eyes. She's a person that was very much involved.
Now, this may not be news to you. What's news is, where is any other Republican talking about this since the 90s? They haven't wanted to go there. There has been this abject fear. You know it as well as I do. Seems like the entire Republican Party has been scared to death of the Clintons, just like they're now scared to death of Obama. Because why? Because they're scared to death of what the media is going to say about them. So Hillary Clinton wants to portray herself as a victim and someone who's going to stand with other victims. She's actually said out there that every woman who accuses a man of abusing her should be believed. Now, you might think, how dare she, after her involvement with Clinton's and the Limbaugh eruption team and all that? Well, she does that because she knows damn well that no Republican ever has called her on it, and she probably thinks no Republican ever will call her on it. So she is free to go out and say all this. When Hillary Clinton knew everything what Clinton was doing, I'm convinced, I've always been convinced, Hillary Clinton was aware of Bill Clinton, who he was when she married him. She stuck with him through all of these women. I mean, countless women humiliated her, but she didn't care. She knew the Democrats would shelter it. She knew the Republicans, after a while, were not going to go after it. And her ticket to where she wanted to end up was Bill Clinton. If she's running as Hillary, if her whole life is spent as Hillary Rodham, nobody's going to know who she is and nobody's going to care. But as Hillary Clinton, who then later becomes Hillary Rodham Clinton, fine, so she'll attach herself to Bill and she'll take over everywhere he goes, every stop, and she'll exact her pound of revenge. And at the same time, she'll pretend like she was totally shocked, totally unaware of all of these indiscretions, when in fact she was helping manage it politically. That's what Trump is talking about here when he says that she's not the innocent person sitting by the side with tears in her eyes, meaning she's not this wronged woman. She was fully aware of what was going on, and she managed the problem. She was part of the group that threatened women if they dared come forward. She was out there and running the bimbo eruptions team with Betsy Wright back in the early 90s, during the 92 presidential campaign and all that. Trump's the first guy to go after any of this. So Hillary has believed, she's thought that she could go out and campaign for president as a victim of the Republican war on women, as an example of women are disrespected and discriminated against and not treated as full-fledged citizens or whatever the hell else they dream up. And she can go out and talk about how women are the victims of predatory men and so forth, ignoring her own husband until Trump comes along. And that is one of the reasons why a bunch of Democrats are now saying, wait. I'm not sure that Bill can, I'm not sure Hillary can win. Because this turns Bill Clinton into an albatross. This turns him into a liability. This exposes them for the frauds they are on all of this so-called do everything you can do to shore up women, because women in Hillary Clinton's office do indeed make 30 cents an hour less than men. You know, they run around and talk about the pay gap. In Hillary's office, it was damn well true. The women didn't make as much as men in her own Senate office. Everything they accuse other people of doing, the vast majority of it, they are guilty of themselves. But she stood by while all of these women were abused. It wasn't alleged sexual predatory behavior. It was sexual predatory behavior that followed by lying under oath to a grand jury about it. She didn't stand idly by. She did stand idly by and let it happen and tried to manage the damage as it happened. But now she wants to portray herself as none of that ever happened to a whole new generation of voters. And Trump's simply not going to let them get away with it. I'll tell you something else. A couple places in the drive-by media, in fact, they're showing great concern. Ruth Marcus in the Washington Post. I was kind of floored. I read this one day. It was early last week, and her column, and she's been feminist. I mean, she's pro-Hillary and this and that. I mean, she's part of this group that looked the other way when Clinton was doing all that he was doing back in the 90s, Lewinsky, and that was just the tip of the iceberg. And her piece is called "Trump is Right, Bill Clinton's Sordid Sexual History is Fair Game." I will guarantee you when the Hillary camp saw this, they had to do a double take. And this was all written in response to Trump's schlonged comment. You know, remember that? Before the Christmas break, Trump's out there talking about it, get schlonged out there in the media. Mock outrage. How could he say, what is a horrible term? How could he say schlonged? What is that? We never acting like it was this great insult. And here comes Ruth Marcus saying, was there a sexist undertone to Trump's schlonged comment? I guess, since we know which Democrat candidate does and doesn't have one. Still, as sexism goes, this feels awfully mild. This is a defense. Hey, it's not a big deal what Trump said. So I said, schlong, big deal. We're talking about the Clintons here, is her point. So Hillary Clinton, after Trump uses the schlonged word, Hillary Clinton says to the Des Moines Register, I think he has to answer for what he says, and I assume that others will make the larger point about his language. It's not the first time he's demonstrated a penchant for sexism. And that's all it took to awaken Trump. Oh, you, Hillary, you want to talk about sexism all of a sudden here? Clinton's attempt, this is Ruth Marcus writing, Clinton's attempt to outsource outrage has the air of a basketball player flopping on the floor for the benefit of the ref. Nothing would make the Clinton campaign happier than some good old-fashioned male chauvinist piggery directed her way. All the better to rile up women voters who seem unsurprisingly nonchalant about the prospect of electing the first female president. That's another thing. Ruth Marcus has nailed something else here. The surprisingly nonchalant attitude a lot of female voters have about electing the first. What she's saying is that there aren't a whole lot of women who care about that. It's not like African Americans getting all jazzed. And Obama being the first black president, yeah, that was a big deal. But first female president, big whoop. There isn't anything like that kind of unique reaction in the female community. And Ruth Marcus is surprised at that, this nonchalant attitude about the prospect of electing the first female president. Then she goes on to say, we've seen this playbook before. During her first Senate race in 2000, when Clinton's Republican opponent Rick Lazio invaded her personal space in a debate. I mean, here you have Nurse Ratched. This always amazing. Nurse Ratched. Hillary Clinton, one of the witches from The Wizard of Oz, all upset over the mild-mannered Rick Lazio walking up to her. We were told it was some great intimidating act that he engaged in. He invaded her personal space. He threatened her. Hell, she's the one with a testicle lockbox, for crying out loud. The idea Hillary Clinton's afraid of some guy walking up to her? Anyway, that's what they try to portray. Hillary, some helpless damsel, and Rick Lazio walked up with a piece of paper and demanded that she sign it. It was an invasion of her personal space. And Marcus said, hey, we've seen this before. These people are shameless. They will play this card if Hillary is some victim, incapable of dealing with mean men. She's going to deploy. But she's saying, look, Ruth Marcus is saying, Donald Trump is right. Much as she hates to say it, Bill Clinton's sordid sexual history is fair game in the campaign. She even brings up John Edwards. Anyway, I take a break here. I'm a little long, folks. Hang tough. We will be back. Back to the phones we go, and to my hometown, Cape Girardeau, Missouri, which remains dry because of a wall keeping the flooding Mississippi River waters out of downtown. This is Steve. It's great to have you on the program. Hi.
Hi, Rush. Thank you so much.
You bet.
I was wondering if the FBI investigation of her emails was ongoing, because I haven't heard much, and if you think there's any possibility of her campaign being derailed by an indictment.
No. Even if there's grounds for one, it isn't going to happen. There's no Democrat to fall back on. It's a Democrat administration. The only way that'd happen is if Obama wants the Republicans to win for some reason. And the only reason I can think Obama would want the Republicans to win is if he knows the things he's done are going to cause so much hell and damnation that he doesn't want a Democrat in office while it happens. In other words, have a Republican there when just everything falls apart. I can't think of a reason. Maybe one other thing, a personal reason that he's got some animus for Hillary and, wants to lead her on and make her think he's not going to indict her, and then all of a sudden pulls the rug out from under her because some personal thing they got going on. I guess anything's possible. But what is the FBI and the Justice Department apparently are at odds. I'm not sure I'm up to speed on this, but who the players are. But there's an investigative agency that thinks they've got the goods, and some other agency is saying, screw it, don't use it, let it go, we're not interested. I don't doubt that Hillary Clinton is vulnerable in a sane... This is what I was talking about in the first hour. I don't quite know how to say this, because I don't believe that any point in the past was perfect. I don't believe that there weren't mistakes. There's never been corruption before. None of that. And we've always had weak points. We've always had ne'er-do-wells and creeps. We've always had corruption. I understand all that. But there seemed always to be in the past some guardrails a bottom at which, where however low it was, once you hit it, somebody stood up and said, that's enough. And there doesn't seem to be any bottom anymore on this stuff. And my point is that back when law enforcement had not been corrupted with politicization, which it clearly has been, what Hillary Clinton has done alone with that email server would disqualify her. She would have already been indicted. She would have already have been named in an investigation, grand jury, or whatever would have been impaneled, or the U.S. attorney would be engaging in whatever investigation. She has violated U.S. national security. She violated all kinds of by having her own email server. It turns out now she's not the only one. But the point now is that no matter if you're in the Democrat Party and if you are in power at the federal level, at a state level, you get away with anything. They're not going to call each other out. They are not going to put the brakes on each other. They are not going to do anything that would